Some say he's a technical whiz. Some say he was born in Cornwall, while some say that he's on a journey. It's The Journey, and here's your host, David Hackett.
Our guest today is an energy healer, author and spiritual advisor. She also teaches people about their energy field and how they can change their entire life by learning to clear blocks and take back their power. Our guest today has been blessed with a gift of divine communication, intuitive energy healing, and for the past 12 years has had the honor of helping hundreds of people around the world to change their lives for the better. Her mission is to teach as many people as she can about their own ability to create the life of their dreams by embracing their personal power and leading a soul-driven life. So we welcome Patty Oliver to The Journey.
Thank you so much, David. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
My pleasure. So, as I said pre-show, everyone has a journey. Everyone starts somewhere. And now the earliest memory, and this is the long-standing joke I've said about it, the longest standing joke is the earliest memory is I was born. Yeah, you know you was born, but what was the earliest memory that got your journey going for you?
Well, my earliest, I've always been interested in spirituality and the spiritual world and going to see psychics. I always thought that was fun. And I always believed in the spiritual side of things. But I never really thought that I would ever work in this field. And it was never really a conscious choice of mine to be, I want to be an energy healer. I want to do when I first got started, I didn't even know what energy healing was. So I've always been interested in it. And, I always tell people that you want to follow those nudges of those earliest desires and things that really light you up, because that's an indication from the universe that that's a gift you have, or that somehow it will be of value to you at some point if you choose it and when you're ready for it.
Yeah. And I do truly understand that, because it's about the tiniest nudge that pushes you forward and motivates you to be strong and say, I can do it.
Definitely. And, we come in with free will, so the universe can't come in and tell you what to do, but it can certainly pave the way. And it's up to us to follow it or not. And that was definitely the case for me. I, like I said, did not make a conscious choice to become an energy healer. It found me when I was ready.
So going forward, how was it for you as a person growing up with understanding what you wanted to do in life?
Well, that's a good question, because a big part of how I got into energy work is that I needed to change how I was growing up. Of course, this is all hindsight, but growing up, I was very quiet. I was very unsure of myself. I think that I had a very poor view of myself, and thought, well, nobody really likes me, and I need to people please, and I need to say the things that I think people want to hear, so that they like me. And in what we do in one situation, we tend to do in all. So this, I carried this tendency into my romantic relationships, my friendships, and my career. And, that kept me, I would say, in a fairly unhappy state. I was always unsure. I always had a certain amount of anxiety, and those are energies that are not easy for the body to deal with over years and years. It takes a toll, because everything is energy, right? And that's definitely a heavier energy. So that's how I definitely was growing up, definitely giving my power away, I would say, to the approval of others, needing that feedback, all of those things that I typically hear from my clients now.
Yes. So going into the It says about the gift of divine communication.
Yeah.
For people who don't know, can you describe what divine communication is?
Well, divine communication is I think communicating with not only your own intuition and your higher self, because we have a spiritual aspect to us. We're not just this physical body, and we have more to us. So learning to first connect with that intuition, and then it's kind of like a muscle that you need to practice using. Right. The more you learn to listen to it and follow it, the more it will lead you to the things that will serve you. And then that raises up into spiritual communication with divine beings, right? Angels, your spirit guides, ascended masters, those types of things. So that's how I'm defining divine communication. And it was definitely a path for me to first learn to hear my own inner voice and start following it. And it grew from there.
Yeah. And they say about the inner voice can be a strong presence in your life because it helps you guide you and inspire you to be a stronger person.
Definitely. And the challenge, honestly, is to listen to it because it's happening for a reason. We feel things in our body for a reason. We feel anxiety and fear because it's actually a reminder that we need to address it. Because so much of what we do is subconscious or unconscious. And so that's the soul's way of communicating with us, is by having us feel certain things or experience certain things so that we wake up and go, oh, I actually can make a new choice here.
Mm.
But a lot of us don't think of that that way. We are creatures of habit. We stay in our patterns. And sometimes it takes a crisis like I had, which came in the form of breast cancer in 2007, to really wake me up and to put me on the path that I am now.
So talking about, well, obviously it's still the past, but talking about that time when you had breast cancer, was that the time where you felt like you was more in tune with yourself because it was telling you more about yourself?
Yes, I think I would say I decided to finally listen because I had, like I said, I had always put myself very much last by choice. At the time when you're going through it, it's like, oh, I'm a victim. Everyone puts me last. No, I was putting myself last, let's be honest. And I knew that, and energetically, like I said, in that constant state of anxiety. And I'm like, and I knew I shouldn't do this. I need to stop doing this. I'm going to make myself sick. And eventually I did. And it was a wake up call. And when I found the lump one day deep in my underarm, I part of me wasn't wholly surprised. There was the shock aspect of, oh my goodness, there it is. But I knew it was like I had opened up this, the light went off, right? The light bulb went off, and it's like, okay, I need to make a change. I need to make myself happy because no one's going to do it for me.
Mm.
And so after the shock of the breast cancer, and I had two young kids, I was married, and before that, I was previously widowed. So a fair amount of trauma going on there. I decided I need to make myself happy, and how is that going to be? And I had time between with the chemo and the surgeries I had to think, what's going to make me happy? And through a lot of soul searching, through a lot of wondering, what do I want to offer the world, and how do I want to be going forward? I wanted to create a peaceful, healing space for people. And I decided to do that initially by becoming a skincare professional, an esthetician. And so I went to school. I went to night school. I mean, talk about putting my power on. It just said I was doing things I had never done before, which is I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to night school. I'm going to open a business, and I'm going to be successful. And I had a lot of naysayers,
Mm.
which you do, when you start doing things out of your ordinary, people start to question it, but that was okay. And I did. It was an exhausting journey, but I'm so glad I did it. And then I was immediately introduced to energy healing. Like 3 to 4 weeks after I opened my business, I was introduced to energy healing and Reiki, neither of which I knew what they were, um, by a last minute phone call I received one night out of the blue. Again, this is how the universe works, right? Out of the blue. And I received a phone call that said, yeah, we're having this networking meeting. We'd love for you to come. And I thought, this is strange. I don't really know this person very well. It's kind of last minute. And I thought, but I don't know. It's strange enough. The universe must want me to attend. I think I need to go. So I went to this meeting, and one of the last persons that I met with when I was there was a Reiki master, which is, I'm now a Reiki master, but at the time I didn't even know what it was. And I said, well, what is this? He says, oh, well, it's healing energy. I use my hands to send healing energy into your physical body to create healing. And I thought, I'd never heard of that before. I thought, oh my goodness, this is the craziest thing. So I had a mini session, for a few minutes to indulge, right? And I think, oh my goodness, this is crazy. But the next day, I woke up and I was so much better. I felt lighter. I felt more energized, rejuvenated. I mean, I was blown away. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have to do this. I mean, I already have people on a treatment table for skincare. I need to add energy healing. So so that was one of the nuggets the universe dropped in. I could have just left it at that and never pursued it, but I just felt this really strong synchronicity. It's like, I have to do this. So I sought out certification in level 1 and started adding some simple energy healing techniques to the treatments with their permission, of course. And my clients were just receiving amazing results, very similar to what I did. And that started my journey in energy healing, and then eventually led to my work in Akashic Records.
Yeah. So talking about the present now, how has it been for you as a person since the early days? Do you feel like it's gone stronger and stronger and more adaptable?
Oh my goodness, yes. A resounding yes. Between energy healing, which you can do self healing. I now have an online course on self healing with energy healing and Akashic Records. My life has changed dramatically. I mean, I know for a fact I would not be doing now if I didn't use energy healing for myself and as a career to create my abundance. I just knew that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And the energy healing, it helps release the blocks that we have, and it helps us move through to empowerment in ways that I just don't think all of us can do on our own. I mean, there's different levels of, people have self-doubt, fear, anxiety, right? Some are less inhibited than others. So those of us, like me included, that really needed that additional push of energy healing, just it changed my life entirely.
Yeah,
in a very positive way.
that is great, because obviously when you started, it was pre-COVID, and then COVID came along, and I would assume that it was a more difficult time because everything was gone away from in person to online, and you had to adapt
Well,
for that.
the interesting thing, though, David, is that I had moved to online several years before COVID. So I had shifted from the hands-on, typical hands-on work that Reiki is. Now, you can do energy healing over Zoom. You can do it by distance. You don't have to be in the same room for it to work. And that's because energy is not bound by time or space. It's all intention, which is the magic of our life here. Everything's about intention and energy. So I had shifted from the Reiki work to something called Akashic Records, which is all about your past lives and your karma, and how your karma influences itself in your life waiting to be cleared. And I had done that kind of naturally through the Reiki, where I started being very intuitive in the Reiki work, and then just knowing things. That's where another aspect of that divine communication just grew. The more I used it, the more I received, and the more I trusted it. And I eventually was receiving information that people's challenges in this life started in a past life. So I started studying past lives, came upon the term Akashic Records, and then that's what I've been doing for the past 7 or 8 years now, exclusively. And then that opened me up to be able to work with anybody, anywhere, literally around the world. So I have clients around the world.
And clients out, I'm not going to ask you to say names, but how do you feel clients feel about how your work is as a person?
How do they feel about my work?
Yeah, testimonies.
Well, most of my work is by referral, and has been for years. So that alone has I think, a lot of validity, a lot of credibility. And even people would come to me saying, I don't even know what you do exactly, and I don't know what Akashic Records are. I don't even know if I buy into past lives, but I know that this person it had such a dramatic change in their life. I want that too. So that's a lot of what I would receive when people would book. And then I do have testimonials. I mean, I could definitely share some stories if you'd like.
Yeah.
Without naming names, like you say. You want me to share some stories?
Yeah, you can.
Oh my gosh. I have so many. One of them that really comes to mind that I'm particularly proud of, I would say, or in awe of is maybe a better way to put it, is when I can work with children. Because when you can clear children of their negative patterns, their karma, it puts them on a whole other trajectory very early in their life. They don't have to deal with a lot of things they might have otherwise. And I had a child whose mother reached out and contacted me and said, "Can you help?" And her child was experiencing, the best way to describe it is OCD type behaviors, almost PTSD like symptoms, night terrors, very OCD type behaviors, and nothing seemed to work. And that's the other thing. People reach out when things don't seem to work. They want to try something else. And so I said, sure. So I took a look, and definitely was able to, over, I'd say, probably a good year, every month or so, working in her child's energy field to conduct healing, to tell her about her child's past lives and what was chosen and what was still showing up for him in his life. A lot of anxiety, a lot of abuse that was suffered in a past life, not in this present life at all. But we pick up where we left off, literally. We need to release what no longer serves us, no matter how many lifetimes that might take. So I was able to really create some healing. And the neat thing about working with kids is that, they don't question healing. They don't question feeling better. They just go with it. And so she was really able to witness her child's incredible turnaround. Right? I mean, her child just became happier and grounded and started making friends and started sleeping through the night. I mean, it just speaks for itself. And I have numbers of those stories. And then same with adults. I had a gal come to me with severe pain in her feet. She could not walk, and she was fairly athletic and was getting depressed because she couldn't figure out what was causing this pain. Doctors didn't have an explanation. And energy, negative energy that's held long enough, will start to present at the physical body level at some point, because energy doesn't leave, it just goes deeper to get our attention. We just have to be willing to do the investigating to figure out, well, why is this ache or pain or chronic condition here? Why? And so she was very stuck. And through a series of healings and readings, I was able to help her remember. And it was repeating from a past life, several relationships where she was definitely giving her power away and very self-deprecating and not self-loving, to a point where her body was just not letting her move forward, literally. So through some clearings, through some newfound self-worth, self-love, she was able to actually start moving forward. And she said, I went for my first walk. I went for my first bike ride. I mean, it's just incredible. I have others. Do you want me to keep going?
You can say a couple more.
One more. Gosh. There was a gal who had eating problems, eating disorders. She would overeat constantly, and she wasn't bulimic or anorexic. She's just constant, chronically overeating, and couldn't stop, and didn't understand, and then was very unhappy with herself because of this, right? Obviously. And I was able to help her understand through a series of readings. A past life that was repeating itself in this life was between a relationship between her and her mother, where her mother was very had humiliated her badly, to a point, and she was very young when this happened in this past life, and also it just repeated itself in this present life. And she even said, when we were going through this, she goes, I know that this happened even in this present life, but I thought I dealt with it. But things have layers. Our challenges have layers to them. And again, what we do in one situation, we tend to do in all, becomes very pervasive. So we need to unwind all of that in all of our life areas. And I think she had thought she had addressed it, but apparently not deeply enough. And so we went deeper. And we talked about certain things that had happened and feelings, and worked through mindset and worked through all those triggers. And the eating was a trigger. She just didn't put two and two together. And so once we were able to identify those, and she brought consciousness to it, bringing awareness, right? Then she could start managing her diet and eat with more peace. She didn't feel the need to finish everything on her plate. These types of things she was able to overcome.
That is amazing. Now, going into the future, because obviously we have to go into the future, how do you feel that the practice is going to be? Do you think it's going to be more people doing it, more people understanding it, more people reaching out?
Well, I'm hoping all of the above. But one of the things about being human, and this is my opinion, is that we're never meant to stay the same for very long. I think that the universe is always nudging us to stay on our highest timeline. There's a number of timelines that are available to us based on our choices. And it's like, well, how do you stay on your highest timeline? And we're meant to change and shift and grow and embrace more and more of our divinity, of our divine essence. And I have elevated and changed and shifted and grown the business in ways to now where I'm doing more things like speaking engagements. I've created an online course on self-healing, using energy healing techniques, including accessing your own Akashic record. That's all new for me. I'm writing a column in an online magazine, which is new, using my voice in different ways to reach more people. So I think that, and I still offer private coaching. So as I grow and take new paths that are presented to me, it will continue to grow. And the thing is, David, is that I don't know what it looks like exactly. That's kind of the magic of stepping out. You know, when I first decided to go into Reiki and then energy healing and then shift to all energy healing, I sold my skincare business. I mean, these were all huge acts of faith. I had no idea if it would work. I had no idea if I would be successful or if I would just crash and burn. But I just felt it felt like the right thing to do. And so I continue to do that, to evolve and then evolve my business with it.
Yeah, and talking about business now, the nitty-gritty, how can people get hold of you if they want to engage with you?
Absolutely. Well, the easiest way is probably through my website, which is pattyoliver.com. That's Patty with a Y, Patty Oliver.com. But I also am on Facebook and Instagram as Patty Oliver Energy Healer. And I also do have a YouTube channel, which I'll be adding this to. And that's probably the best way to start the conversation with me and to ask questions and see my offerings.
And one last question.
Mhm.
What would you say to people now watching or listening to this to inspire them on their journey?
Oh my goodness. You are so much more than you realize. You're much more than just this one body in this one lifetime. You know, you are a divine spirit, and you are meant to lead happy, abundant, peaceful lives. And yes, it's challenging. We all have challenges. Earth is a school, right? It's the most difficult Earth school is. So when you face your fears, you realize you're stronger than you are, and it will take you places that you never imagined, and you can have the things that you want. I'm living proof. My clients are living proof that whether it's energy healing or however you choose to get there, you can overcome and exceed your wildest expectations.
Patty Oliver, thank you for sharing your journey with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been beautiful.
That was The Journey, hosted by Wise Words Imaging, hosted by David Hackett. Be sure to like, subscribe and listen to another journey coming soon.